Oh, it's gonna be peak. What up, Faz Gang? We are officially 2 weeks away from the release of Sonic Movie 3, which is seriously crazy. I can't believe it's been 2 years since Sonic Movie 2 and 4 years since the first one.
We need a plan. Knuckles, use your strength to jump off the plane.
It's been such a blessing to see how the crew has handled these adaptations of the Sonic games and the love poured onto these films by the actors. I mean, name another film that has a former X-Man, John Wick, Huey Duck, Bloodsport, and The Grinch. Life isn't real sometimes, I swear. However, through all the hype, which is at an all-time high, no doubt, I remembered this quote. Continuing the tradition set by the previous 2 films, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 will also set the stage for a potential 4th movie to introduce another video game character after Tails and now Shadow, Entertainment Weekly. So, at this point, a 4th movie is all but confirmed, especially with a lot of other comments from Fowler about not slowing down and things of the sort. And my question is, what next? So far, each movie has taken on a progressively larger scale with each entry, while still being consistent and having a semi-grounded tone. The first Sonic movie took a very starch approach to what a Sonic movie could be, where you have a CGI character on a road trip with a human, where they bond and defeat an antagonist of some sorts.
He's just a silly little alien. He didn't belong here!
That little alien knew more about being human than you ever will.
However, what made it stand out were the inclusion of Sonic elements and scenes that brought that energy that we all know and love. And the final 10 minutes of the movie turned into a full-on Sonic vs. Robotnik action scene, which is really great to see. Then for the second movie, they played around with more locations, giving the whole thing a broader feel, as well as the inclusion of more elements from the Sonic mythos, like the Echidnas, Master Emerald, Super Sonic, etc. And they did it all while still making it feel plausible and grounded within the universe.
Signify that...
Thought it was on silent.
Finding ways of bringing Tom and Maddie along for the ride so that they're not completely left behind. And Sonic Movie 3 aims to repeat this idea, but times 2 by adapting the story of Sonic Adventure 2, which I have no doubt that they could and definitely will pull off pretty well. And here's where I get concerned. Sonic Adventure 2 has a pretty out there story. If you're not familiar, I mean, they go to space and blow up half the moon, which in the movie continuity is going to have to be a huge deal, just like it was back in 2001. But that's the problem. How do you beat that while still keeping the tone of the first 2 films? That being an underlying sense of groundedness mixed with Sonic style. Thinking of the games we have, after Adventure 2, everything gets progressively crazier and crazier. Heroes has a ridiculous amount of characters. 06 issues aside is a time travel story that has multiple continuities happening at the same time, as well as involving a ruined future in a foreign kingdom. Even after that, Unleashed is a globe-trotting adventure that ends with a fight against an eldritch deity, and Colors takes place entirely in an amusement park made of planets chained together in space. How could you possibly adapt any of those to fit with that same grounded yet stylish baseline?
For me either, but if you keep being irresponsible, we're gonna keep having this conversation.
How is it irresponsible to use my powers?
Sonic, you destroyed an entire city block.
That block was already messed up. Who cares? Look, I stopped a robbery. I was a hero.
No, you put people in danger, and that's not what a hero does.
Tails, that's our exit. Come on.
I'm not saying it's impossible, but it would be seriously difficult from a writing and tonal standpoint, and that's what concerns me the most about continuing this franchise. In my opinion, 3 should be the final film.
Man, shut the...
You need to leave!
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Yeah, you suck. You just suck. Blows my mind that somebody like this not only exists, but also is delusional enough to post it online.
Alright, calm down. Let me explain. Trilogies are a standard format for storytelling, most commonly found in books and movies, and occasionally with music and games. It's the perfect setup, beginning, middle, and end. Each one increases the stakes of the last while growing the characters and the world to a proper conclusion in the final installment. Now, obviously, the third movie is not going to fill the role of a finale to the series. Finale. I love talking so much because it isn't written that way. But I honestly wish it would have been, because instead of dragging the series onto more movies and potentially TV shows, two things could really happen. We hit a peak at some point, and then the series continues to slog on to a point where it ends because of lack of profitability rather than reaching a planned conclusion, or the series becomes so bloated with content that it's impossible to keep up with it at all. Right now, we have 2 movies and a TV show, which will soon be 3, and that's a good amount of content, without a doubt, and it's absolutely worth making your way through if you haven't yet. And maybe the 4th movie will serve as a conclusion. I wouldn't mind that either, but that line about not slowing down anytime soon makes me think otherwise. I mean, these movies are good, and they mean a lot to me, so it would kill me inside to see this series jump the shark like that. Now, just to be clear, I don't think the crew behind this franchise couldn't pull off a 4th movie, but like I said, it would be seriously difficult to adapt any game post-Adventure 2 with the tone they've set up so far. In which case, they could take a Sonic Movie 2 approach where they take key characters and events, but they really write their own story, which would probably work better. The bottom line is, it's uncertain, and that uncertainty scares me, especially since Jim Carrey has retired. Hey guys, what's good? Editing Matt here, putting this in post, cause apparently 4 days after I finished recording and scripting this video, they decided to drop this interview with Jim Carrey where they said this.
I don't want to talk spoilers, but is it fair to say that you think this is the end of the road for your version of Robotnik?
I really don't want to say anymore, you know? I go out on the limb and say these things, and then fate makes a liar out of me. You know, so yeah. Who knows?
So that's completely fine. I just have to cut out like a 3 to 4 minute section of my video that I spent time on. But no. It's all good. It's not 10:44 with less than a week until this movie comes out, and I just have to get rid of it. That's awesome. I'm so glad I spent my time on that. I'll remember this, Jim Carrey. You've made a very weak but passionate enemy today. Not to mention, they plan on bringing in more characters, at which point you have to ask, could you really do that without comprising the identity that these movies have set up so far? With all the crazy spectacles seen in Sonic Movie 2, it never reached a level where I think, yeah, this doesn't make any sense. While expanding to new locations like Hawaii, tall, snowy mountains, and Green Hill, expanding upon that one, it also makes sure to spend the proper time establishing those environments and what the characters are doing there.
Good morning, Green Hill!
Heck, I mean, the finale takes place in Green Hill, a location we've come to know very well, which also held the finale to the first movie, and that gives it a sort of familiar, comforting feel to that location. With the theme of responsibility that was carried throughout the entire movie being wrapped up there, it just kind of felt right, you know? The stakes were raised just high enough from the first movie that it stayed enjoyable, and by the looks of it, 3 is going to do the same thing as well, if not sacrificing a little bit of that comfort for bigger spectacle. It's how you can surpass 3 without completely sacrificing that familiarity and comfort that's a part of my fear. I really don't know what they have planned next for this series that I really do love so dearly, but I trust that whatever they do, they'll have a plan and they'll work it all out just like before. I mean, for all we know, 4 could end up being its own original story that brings in new characters, while still concluding the movies in a satisfying way. And I mean, they haven't given us a reason not to trust them yet. It's a little bit of an overtalked point, but if you go back to the first movie, they brought that thing back from the dead. I mean, Sonic is all about second chances. You just can't keep this thing down, and that's because people that love this series and know how to work it, know how to work it. So with all that said, what can we do? Sonic Movie 3 is less than a month away, and on top of that, we're probably not going to get anything Sonic Movie related after this for a while. So, here's what I'm going to do, and here's what I think you should do. You should stay excited for the future, and when the day comes that this series does come to an end, whether planned or abrupt, no matter what, we can say that we did get some really good movies and some amazing Sonic movies to enjoy for years to come. Just take it from Secret Rings, man.
Every world has its end. I know that's kind of sad, but that's why we gotta live life to the fullest in the time we have. At least, that's what I figure.
Well, I would totally get bullied for that being the ending to my video, so let's end on a high note. This movie is gonna be great. Shadow looks amazing. He has a gun. Live and Learn better be in this thing. And the marketing, as expected, has been off the charts. So there's plenty to be excited about. And believe me, I am totally hyped for this movie. So let's be excited for the here and now, rather than worrying about stuff that's years down the line that we don't even have any control over. That is 90% me talking to myself. With that all being said, have a grand and glorious rest of your day. Keep up that momentum, real ones know. Buy all the movie merchandise. And always remember, meow.